Attribute friend, peace and blessings. This is Derek Rakumar. And I just got news, that, Kevin Samuels, he passed away. So I remember when I first heard it, I was just wondering, it's like, is this some kind of joke or something? Like a lot of people trying to see if maybe it was a publicity stunt or so. But apparently, that wasn't the case. So, I just wanted to go in here and kind of just make a little short video about this. This is not going to be a video about, about how Kevin Samuels saved my life and all that kind of stuff. That's not what this is about. But it kind of goes ahead, and I wanted to kind of hit a couple of points that, that he actually mentioned. And it's unfortunate that we have individuals in our society, in our community, basically, who go ahead and, regardless of what your truth is, if they don't agree with it, they want to quiet you. They want you to shut up, and they don't want you to speak your truth, but they want you to accept theirs. Okay. Now, most of when you went ahead, if you read my books and you've heard me talk about it, there was two relationships I was in, two very serious relationships I was in. In both of those relationships, I basically was like the stepfather in that situation. And there's a lot of things that, that Kevin Samuels talked about that I kind of, I agree. I understand. I knew what he was talking about. And like I said, I agree wholeheartedly with what he was talking about in that regards. Because I was with individuals who was, some women who was, they claimed they were spiritual. They claimed they was all into the, they understood about having conditions. They understood the issues about, being socially programmed by, by your family, by your parents, by your loved ones, by the community, the whole deal, to act and behave a certain way, and how those problems are causing problems in our relationships with one another, with men and women. They understood this, but yet they went ahead and, you get in a relationship, and they went ahead and they had those same issues, okay? They had those exact same issues. Even though they claimed to understand it, they still had those issues. I was with women who basically went ahead and they had children, and they placed their children above me. And a lot of times when I say that, people who come from a single parent household, they don't seem to understand that. I was raised with both parents. I was fortunate and blessed to be, raised with both parents. And again, this is not a knockdown of people who were raised, by single parents, but just because something is, something has operated this way does not mean, you have something that is dysfunctional. Does not mean that that's supposed to be the norm. I mean, it was crazy. I would go ahead and I'm working, 12 hours out, 2 full-time jobs. It was not 12 hours, but 2 full-time jobs. But I come to the house, and the kid is telling me what to do. That's not right, But we got people in our society who say, no, that's how it's supposed to be. Your child is supposed to be put, above your spouse. And that was one of the things that, Kevin Samuels was like, no, I've been in that situation. You're not supposed to do that, And I wholeheartedly agree, because if you're in a serious relationship with anybody, with any, man and woman in a serious relationship, and you're, it's kind of like being on an airplane. When that oxygen mask drop, when they tell you, if the oxygen mask drop, don't place this over your child first. You place it over yourself, and then place it over the child. And when you're in a relationship, you're supposed to go in here and be in that relationship through thick and thin. You know, if I'm going ahead and I'm being a protector and a provider and all these things that that you need, because that's my role in the relationship, then what does a child? A child is not supposed to tell me what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to have a conversation with bills or a conversation about bills and all that kind of stuff. I'm not supposed to have that conversation with my child or with your child. I'm supposed to have that with my mate, with my spouse. And that was one of the things that basically, Kevin Samuels, he was talking about. There's a whole lot of I would say, for lack of a better word, there's a whole lot of dysfunction. And we've gotten to the point that we've normalized it. And the fact that there are individuals who are going ahead and you've experienced that, you can't go ahead and say, okay, well, that individual is wrong because they've experienced that. If they've experienced that, they've experienced that. You can't deny them of their voice, because that's what they've experienced. Okay? Now, just for the record, I didn't agree with everything that, Kevin Samuels said. Okay? For once, because of us being spiritual, we know that we know that there's no such thing as an absolute. Okay? In other words, just because you've gone ahead and you've had this traumatic experience, you've had, some dysfunction in your life, you've had some dysfunction, like most of us, we've had some kind of dysfunction that has occurred, trauma that has occurred in our childhood that is affecting us in our adulthood. Just because that has happened, it does not mean that it is set in stone and it's going to be that way. Okay? And that's the spiritual aspect. That's where the spiritual aspect comes in. That's the thing I disagreed with. Okay, I didn't necessarily agree with, and I still don't, for the most part. Someone has children, I don't agree with. Okay, well, you can't get with them because they got kids. I don't agree with that. I understand where he's coming from, but I didn't necessarily agree with that. Because, like I said, I believe everybody can go ahead. If you go ahead and you put forth the commitment and you have a solid understanding of what, a relationship is supposed to be and your role in the relationship, then it works out. Okay. And that's one of the things like I said, one of the things I disagreed with. But again, I couldn't deny that individual, that man, of his truth. I couldn't deny that man of his voice. So the fact that people are celebrating, the fact that you have some women who are like, oh, we're celebrating this, that really speaks volumes to the truth that he was actually speaking, and it shows how emotional individuals are. Most of I deal, I'm a math instructor, math teacher, so when people go ahead and they're saying, they say something and it's harm, and you don't like the way it's delivered, you don't like the way it sounds, you disagree with, for whatever reason, you just don't like it, and you're celebrating when an individual passes away or so. That shows also that it shows your lack of maturity, and your lack of empathy, which again, like I said, those are the things in which he was speaking of. So you just, people are reflecting themselves. They're showing who they really are, okay, and how they were really at. Because regardless if that individual, if you agreed with everything, he said or not, the man still had a family. He still was supporting, still had a daughter, from my understanding. So he still had a family. Okay. So anyway, like I said, just wanted to go ahead and make this little quick deal. Hopefully, I wish, condolences to, the family and to friends. Okay. And, like I said, everybody, keep your head up. All right. Until next time. Thanks again. Thanks for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Until next time. That's Peace.